Imagine you're on an airplane and your flight gets delayed for 2 hours. So you circle a city until you can land and you are subjected to a free concert. You are subjected to some child singing Disney songs. What would you guys do in this situation?
No one knows how deep it goes.
A Delta flight was delayed for 2 hours and they had to circle Orlando, Florida until they could land. This poor child, she is going viral right now for singing Moana on the intercom. Check this out.
One day I'll know how far I'll go.
And I saw a point of view from a passenger on that flight first before I saw the original.
I could be the perfect daughter, but I come back to the water. No matter how hard I try, every turn I take, every trail I track, every path I make, every road leads back to the place I know where I cannot go, where I long to be.
These comments are so funny, but I'll tell my opinion at the end. Anyways, I did see that point of view first, and I was like, oh man, I am unsure how I would react in that situation until I saw more information in the comments and in this passenger's experience. So the video of the girl singing Moana on that flight was posted by a TikTok account, Druzy Roaming.
Hi everyone, I'm Romeo, the man who filmed the girl singing Moana on the delayed Delta flight. After a few days and seeing how it went viral, I came here for a follow-up video. After reading the comments, I came up with some questions that I will answer. Stick to the video. Was it planned or spontaneous? From my side, I felt it was spontaneous. Everyone was dragged in, the battery was low, and suddenly she had a mic. I'm not sure who made the first move, if it was her family or the flight attendants, for example, but it was all unfolded in the moment for sure. How did she get access to the intercom? The flight attendant actually made an announcement first. So she said that there would be a performance of How Far We'll Go by this little girl. Then she literally handed the mic and it was like karaoke at 30,000 feet. For me, it was a totally surreal experience, even though I was, of course, tired as well. How did the other passengers react in real life? Based on the video, you could see that pretty much everyone was quiet, but I do feel like there was mixed emotions from everyone, I would say. But from my side, I can say that at the end, everyone was clapping and cheering for the girl, so no one was booing or being like rude at any point. And just to be clear, she only sang one song for like less than 2 minutes. So were the flight attendants okay with it? 100% yes. They really seemed so kind and supportive to the girl, and I think they knew like we all needed a mood shift in that moment, so it was nice, at least for me. Why would anyone sing during a flight delay? Because joy is free, and like sometimes in a moment like that, or you just sit quiet or you sing, you know, and she chose to sing. So let her do it. Weren't people annoyed? Some were, absolutely. Some were really touched as well. So that's internet and real life, to be honest. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Did I film this hoping it would go viral? No, literally not. I first posted as stories on my Instagram, and I was like, okay, let's keep it as a very nice memory from my 1-month vacation in the US and the surprise that I had on the delayed flight. So I just wanted to capture a moment. That was it. Who is the girl? Is she related to you? No, I'm not related to the girl. I'm just like a random passenger that was on the flight. She's just like a little amazing soul that had a dream and she went for it, you know. Yeah, I think that's it, the 8 questions I had. So thanks everyone who shared how this video or this moment made you feel. Not everyone felt good or bad. But that's what the stories are for, so thank you.
And that creator is really defending that girl on the comment section. His caption even says, when your Delta flight is delayed 2 hours and you circle Orlando for another 2. But then a little girl sings Moana on the crew mic and suddenly everything feels okay. This video currently has 32.3 million views. There's a lot of opinions in the comment section. I will say most of the comments are not supportive of this situation. The first comment says, this is actually my worst nightmare and personal hell. Someone said to that, it's really not that bad, and Druzy Roaming hearted that comment. Someone says, imagine waking up on flight and some kid is just singing Moana, I'd be crying. They say, glad you were not there, your cry would have pissed me off by interrupting the girl's moment. Imagine you finally get your baby asleep and this happens. I'm sure they wouldn't wake up, let's consider that. People doesn't stop chatting on the plane, all the announcements happen due to being late, flight attendants checking on passengers quite often due the delay. I'm sure the babies were totally fine. We can't even hear anyone crying. So those are just some of the comments from that original creator who posted that. Someone says, I mean, she's not bad, but that doesn't mean anyone wants to hear it, and that's coming from a Moana lover. Romu or Druzy Roaming says, but no one got hurt but letting her sing and feel what she felt that moment. What do you guys think? What do you think your reaction would be if you were on a flight that got delayed, you had to circle your destination for 2 hours, and then you hear that? Something that I saw in the comments was that when someone is on that intercom, that takes precedence over any entertainment that is on someone's airplane TV. It's like the announcements, like whatever you're watching on the airplane screen, and then the flight attendant or pilot has an announcement, they stop all entertainment. A lot of people were mad about that. A lot of people were saying, imagine being in a hot plane. It's hot, everyone is kind of high strung, people have places to go. If you've been on a plane nowadays, everyone just automatically is in a rush and they immediately block up the aisle when it's time to leave. You know, everyone's just focused on where they need to go. Yes, people have priorities. They probably are late for something. They have work the next day. With all that said, I think a lot of people are upset about that because they're subjected to a free concert and they have nowhere else to go. And this is no hate to the girl. I honestly feel like no one is blaming that child because she's a child for one. But two, more than likely someone, maybe their parent, said, oh yes, baby, this is your big break. There could be a talent scout here. I saw someone say that. And I honestly think the girl was good. She can hold a tune. But if it was me, I would not want to be in that situation. Let's hear what other people are saying on the internet.
The flight was delayed for 2 hours. And that girl had the audacity to sing Moana for 45 minutes. If I was on that flight, the things I would do and say would get me put on the no-fly list. Because how does this happen? Who lets something like this happen? I blame the parents of that girl, I blame the flight attendant, and just Delta in general. Because no one wants this. It's a flight, it's delayed for 2 hours. 2 whole hours. Everyone's tired, cranky, just aggravated. We don't want to listen to a girl singing Moana for 45 minutes. No one wants this. Not even the kids. How could you allow this to happen? If the flight's delayed, give people food, water, and play some music. But don't let a girl sing Moana for 45 minutes straight. That would drive me crazy. Like, seriously?
So people are saying that the girl that was singing Moana on the airplane got her parents put on the no-fly list and arrested, and that's just not true at all. Like, the whole thing started with the flight attendant asking the little girl if she wanted to sing on the intercom. Now, at this point, I do feel like the parents should have stepped in and been like, nah, she's okay, she's good, she doesn't need to sing. I feel like everybody around us is pretty stressed out right now because of the delay, so I think she can just take her seat. Now, the reason why I say this, and I feel like this is also the reason why a lot of people were upset about it, is because when somebody's speaking on the intercom, your in-flight movie, whatever you're doing on that screen, gets paused and you have to listen to what they're saying. So that's why I feel like people were saying that they were quote unquote held hostage, because they had to listen to her sing. Like, there was nothing else that they could do. Now, I 100% understand the frustration because the flight was delayed, people are missing their connecting flights, and people's movies were getting interrupted because this girl was singing. But I feel like the main thing people are missing here is that it probably only lasted like 3 to 4 minutes. So I feel like the backlash that this little girl's getting is just a bit too much, because the first thing that I thought when I saw the video was like, dang, I'm jealous of her because because my social anxiety could never. And her singing wasn't even that bad either. So ultimately, I feel like the flight attendant should have read the room and never offered her the opportunity in the first place.
Okay, all these videos of this little girl singing Moana on the delayed Orlando flight have completely broken my spirit. Just seeing the reactions of the other people on the plane has given me an anxiety attack from which I may never recover. Personally, I'm shattered. Listen, good for her. I'm sure she's an angel. She should be allowed to enjoy Moana and pursue her love of the vocal arts. However, whomsoever allowed this to happen and torture all the passengers trapped on the plane, maximum security federal prison without the possibility of parole. First of all, you couldn't pay me to go to Orlando in the first place. That is just my opinion. But on top of that, you have me trapped on a tarmac, baking under the Florida sun in a metal tube with a bunch of strangers for literal hours. And then you allow some child to give a concert I can't escape from? No disrespect to the flight attendant that reportedly allowed this, but I question whether you have the judgment required for the job. Of course, at the end of the day, it's just one song. This couldn't have lasted more than 5 minutes. But here's the thing. Airplanes are a time warp. 5 minutes on a plane is 17 hours in the regular world. That's literal science. I'd rather the flight turn into a Final Destination sequel than be required to listen to your kid give a concert while there's sweat rolling down my back into my underwear from sitting in that vinyl chair for 2 hours. I cannot stress this enough. No hate to the kid who's just doing her thing. But maybe next time someone over the age of 18 can exercise some judgment? Because those passengers paid for a flight, not a middle school talent show.
I want to hear from the flight attendants. What role did the flight attendants play in this? Why did they let this happen? I would be inclined to believe that the flight attendants pushed back. I can't imagine they didn't push back and try to shut that down. All they would have to say is like, sorry, we have a policy. We can't have passengers singing over the loudspeaker. So no, you can't sing Moana. I'm so sorry. It would be so easy. Like, a little girl is not going to know whether that is or isn't a real policy. I don't know if that's a real or fake policy. It very well could be a real policy. I mean, Kristen Wiig got in trouble for singing over the loudspeaker in Bridesmaids, which is obviously canon and a valid reference. But, like, I would be inclined to believe that the flight attendants did try to shut it down, and that the parents, like, really pushed for their daughter to be humiliated and ridiculed, like, criticized on a world stage, unless they live off the grid, they don't know people have phones or something. Like, what happened? I need to hear from the flight attendants. I need to hear that firsthand account.
Delta did respond, but they gave more of a broad statement.
Delta Airlines has actually responded to this little girl singing the Moana song on the delayed flight. So let's see what they said. Describing the atmosphere on the stalled plane as really hot and packed, this TikToker said she was anxiously awaiting an update from the crew when all of a sudden a flight attendant shares with us that they have a sweet little girl that would love to share or sing a song with us. And then to make it even worse, the worst part is if you're watching a movie on the plane, the movie pauses when someone makes an announcement. So everyone was forced to stop what they were doing and listen to her. This is from The Independent. It said, it's unknown what prompted the young girl to get up and sing for the flight, but a Delta Airlines spokesperson told Newsweek, we appreciate the customer sharing her talents and apologize to our customers for the delay in their travels. I don't know what other kind of response Delta could have given at this point. Like, that they're not going to talk shit about the little girl because that doesn't make them look good. So what are they really going to say about her? And then of course they're going to apologize for the delay because that's what airlines do. And what else would they do? So I don't even know that a response was necessary. Were people like demanding one? Because maybe I didn't know that, but I don't even think they should have responded.
I agree that Delta did the best statement that they could do, but come on. I really want to know what happened. Someone has to give some sort of background as to how that could have happened. I mean, we don't deserve an explanation. We don't need an explanation. But how did we get here? And from a safety perspective, people are saying that the girl singing could interrupt potential announcements and updates from the pilot and the delayed flight. So those are just some things to think about. Unpopular opinion on this, I think this would have been okay if the plane had to veer off and go to some sort of remote island, and then everyone is kind of just in the dumps, and then there is like a talent show that they all do, and it's optional for people to watch. That way the girl can sing and share her talent with the flight folks, and not everyone is subjected to it. Everyone was contained in that flight and they had to listen to it, and I think that's the issue. Some people are saying, well, I've sung at the airport before and it wasn't an issue.
Hi everyone. I know our flight just got delayed and it really sucks, so I thought that I would sing my song for you guys as entertainment while we wait. This is my song called Curl. I've got tunnel vision tonight. Substances in my mind so high when your skin touches mine.
And people are saying that's because you could leave. The people on the flight could not leave. But anyways, y'all, a lot of people are saying that only parents think this is cute, and not everyone thinks your kid is cute. Not everyone wants to hear your kid sing. Not everyone wants to see your kid dance. It's more so like, read the room. And I kind of agree, especially with so many people packed in a flight. But again, this is not that little girl's fault, and I do think she can sing. I do think that we should have read the room. Parents, you're the blame for this. Whoever was with her on that flight, you are the blame for this, because yeah. But anyways, I mean, she wasn't hurting anyone. She was just sharing her talent. If she was hurting something, potentially it could have been safety updates from the pilot. But what do y'all think about this? If you were a passenger in that flight, how would you react? If you were a passenger on that flight too, would you fly Delta again? I don't think every Delta flight would be like that, but very interesting. That's it for today's video. Like, share, subscribe. If you don't, I just appreciate you being here, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye!